It's 6 p.m. It is the PoP Baking Club, and you are the PoPers. We are in a baking club that you don't need to sign up for. You don't need to pay anything. All you need to do is show up here at 6 p.m. every Wednesday, Eastern Standard Time, and I do a lecture just like I did in real life and a demonstration of a recipe my viewers choose. And you will be choosing next week's recipe today. So if you stay tuned for another hour and a half or so, and to when we're kind of wrapping things up, we will choose next week's recipe. My name is Kathleen. I am a baking and pastry arts instructor. I'm a certified executive pastry chef, and I work here on TikTok. I am trying to bridge the gap between what people know and what they don't know, and the home baker and the professional baker, in my opinion, are one and the same. You are no different. You can handle the information, and treating you like a bunch of home bakers is silly. I treat you like pros because you are and you can handle it. This is the smartest group of people. We are doing creme brulee today. If you go to my link tree, which is on my profile page, because you want to get tonight's recipe for creme brulee, typically we do 100% is flour, but we have alternative ingredient, which is our cream. So we have 500 grams of cream, 87.5 of yolk. We've got sucrose and a vanilla bean pod. These are our ingredients. This is the recipe formula. I highly recommend that you have this. I print it out because then you can take notes, and this is something I'm going to work off of. And I've already pre-scaled my ingredients. So if you follow me, you know that I scale all my ingredients in advance. I don't wait till the last moment. I do it a couple days in advance sometimes. And this creme brulee recipe is not huge. I would recommend that you scale it twice. You do it one time all the way through, and then you do it again. The learning is exponential when you do it one time after another. I tend to do it in threes. The other thing I want to tell you is I spend quite a bit of time writing out notes, and I upload these to The Practice of Pastry on Substack. And I go from everything from the history of creme brulee to the desired outcome, to the ingredient function, the synergy of the ingredient function and the flavor, how to plate it, how to finish it, and everything in between. So this would be really great if you would print it out and follow along, because I don't give you everything in the notes. I don't give you everything in the recipe, and I don't give you everything in the demonstration. Those three things work together very well for all the different kinds of learners. Some of us learn through listening, some through watching, some through reading, some through note-taking, that's me, and others are hands-on. So we're gonna get started right away. I'm going to be, today, demonstrating the making of a creme brulee custard, and then I'm going to put it properly into some ramekins into the oven, which I am preheating to 325. I have a regular oven, and I do not recommend a convection or fan forced air type oven for creme brulee. You will get a skin on the top, and you don't want that. So we want a nice, gentle, low, slow heat, which is my favorite kind. So we're doing creme brulee, which is a stirred custard. It's from the 1600s, and it is really just dairy with eggs as the thickener, and the dairy we're using is heavy cream, and then sugar. And I add a little vanilla bean, but it is endless in terms of the way you can flavor it. So we'll get into that as we go. So I'm gonna start with getting my space clean, washing my hands, doing a quick fit check, and I'm gonna pull my hair back. All right, so we're gonna do a fit check, and then we're gonna move into working. So we're gonna get going. All right, here we go. Let me go put my hair back, and then I will come right back, and we will do a fit check, and we'll be good to go. Oh my gosh, it's already time to get the lights on. That's how fast the summer's going. Woo-hoo. There we go. All right. This is my fit check. We're gonna do this as efficiently as we can. We're gonna learn how to do creme brulee. And I'm telling you, these demos are no different than you would get in person if you were at the college level or at a fancy pastry school. Okay, this is my fit check. I always use an inexpensive, meaning $5 white apron that I wear one time. And an apron is meant to keep your clothes clean. It's not meant for wiping your hands on or for using anything else. It signifies that you are ready to work, you work clean, and it's really important that if you get your apron dirty, you take it off. Believe it or not, you can get gross stuff on your apron and it can transfer to your food. All right, here we go. No fingernail polish, short nails, no jewelry, minimal makeup, my hair is up, and I have safe, they have a little bit of a heel, but my clogs, they're non-slip, and I can kick them off in case of an emergency. So we're gonna move this over here, and I'm going to wash my hands. Here are my scalings, okay? I do all of these in advance. This is for the creme brulee. And creme brulee is so few ingredients, it's kind of crazy. What a fancy, elegant, beautiful dessert made from just a few things. I personally love desserts, things like puff pastry and croissant and things that are 4 or 5 ingredients, because when you do that, you really have to have really good technique, you have to have really good ingredients, and you need to execute it and pay attention. I scale everything in advance so that when I show up right now, I'm going to compare my amounts on my recipe to these, and hopefully I won't make a mistake. I make labels in advance, and I made this yesterday, so this is my second go around, and I have a whole batch that have been in the refrigerator overnight. So once we get these in the oven, I am going to pull those from the cooler and I'm going to torch them and show you how to use different sugars and talk about how to steep different flavors and how to plate a creme brulee, which is really exciting. So if you have this recipe, it's on my link tree, it's for creme brulee, and I am going to need 500 grams of heavy cream. Inside heavy cream lives water, fat, and dairy solids. Dairy solids, things like proteins and sugar, they give us creaminess and flavor and fat. And this is our 100%. Baker's percentage is normally based on 100% of flour, but this is our continuous phase ingredient, meaning everything we do is going to be locked into this dairy, and it's the thing that suspends all the other ingredients. So we're going to call this 100%. That's what our math is based on. Then I have 87.5 grams of egg yolk. I crack the egg yolks and then I scale them separately, and I round up because that's my habit. If 87.5 to you means 87, then go down every time and you'll have continuity. I always go up, so mine's 88 grams of egg yolk, and then I have the same amount of sucrose. So you can already notice we have this much ratio-wise of heavy cream and the identical weight for sucrose, which is table sugar, and egg yolk. So you start to notice the ratios. It's interesting. And then in here I have a whole ingredient. I make a lid for a vanilla bean, and then I put it in here so I don't forget it. That's how I remember everything. These are my vanilla beans from when I made the creme brulee yesterday. After I used them in the cooking and steeping, I gently rinsed them and they've been drying. So when I am done with this vanilla bean tonight, I will add it to this, and then these are going in my vanilla bean 10X container so that someday I'll grind it all up and I'll have vanilla bean sugar, which is really fun. All right, so the thing I'm going to do later are these coffee beans. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to utilize coffee beans steeping into heavy cream for flavor. I'm going to show you 2 different methods. So that'll be kind of fun. All right, let's see. So we are going to be cooking, this is a stirred custard, okay? I'm going to be using this induction burner. The only way you know that a pot, a pan, a nice stainless steel pan, and this is probably 25, 30 years old, okay? Look how brand new it is. I clean everything every time I use it very well. This is a little bundt pan from Nordic Ware. It's a magnet. If the magnet sticks, then you can use it. There are pots where it doesn't stick, and you don't want to use aluminum. You want to use stainless steel, okay? So there it goes. So I'm going to take off these labels, and I'm going to keep them right here. I just don't want to forget what I've already used, and if I have any problems, I can go back and look and see, like, what mistake did I make? And then I'm going to take the lids off, and I'm going to put them in order so I don't forget anything. We're going to need a couple things. Sometimes when you're doing pastry, you're doing 2 different things at once. Today, we are going to be taking the cream and the egg yolk in 2 separate places. The cream's going to go in here, and the egg yolk's going in a bowl. The sucrose is going to be divided between the 2. So I'm going to put that in the middle, and I'm not going to forget. I need this bowl. So I'm going to grab a spatula, and I'm just going to put the cream in here. You never want to put the sugar or the dry things in your bowl on the mixer or in a pot first. You always want to add the liquid, because that way whatever goes into it is less likely to stick. So that's why I start with the cream. So I'm going to get this in here, and nothing's on. My range top is not on. And then I'm going to take another spatula, and I'm going to put my egg yolks into this bowl. If you add the sugar or the sucrose too soon to eggs, have you ever noticed they cause like specks or curdling? That is because you're pre-coagulating the proteins that live in the egg yolk. We do not want to do that, but we're gonna go ahead and put half the sucrose in here because I'm not ready to start. If I were working alone and you weren't here, I would just go ahead and do it and get started. But I'm taking my time and I make sure that the sucrose isn't sticking. So I'm not stirring or whipping or really making a mess. I'm using the bottom of my spatula, just feel if the sugar is sticking anywhere. We don't want it sticking. And so I'm not going to put the sucrose on the egg yet. I'm going to take my vanilla bean, which I opened up the other day, my container, because they were getting too humid and now they're too dry. See how flat it is? It's flat and dry. It's supposed to be pliable and it is not. So I have this little cutting board, and when you get the beans that live inside a vanilla bean pod, so I have mine up here and I've added a little moisture to them and I've sealed them back up so they'll soften back up. But right now I have a dry one to deal with, which is a pain. You want to take the sharp part of your knife and you want to go this way through the center. And if you go slow enough, you should be able to get right through the middle. For some reason, it just usually works. Just go slow and feel. So much of pastry is about feeling. Okay, so then when you look here, look at that beauty. Look at those. See all those? Those are vanilla bean seeds. That's what lives inside your vanilla bean pod. And that is where all of your vanilla flavor is. Now, I could put this into the cream and leave it overnight cold and then start fresh tomorrow, make my creme brulee tomorrow, and this would cold infuse. But because we're going to be cooking it and we're doing it now, we need to get the most out of the flavor. So I'm going to take the back side of my knife, not the sharp part, and I'm going to help these along by scraping out the seeds. I'm going to do that on both sides of the pod, just scraping them gently out. And then I will put this directly into my cream. So this is going to go in there, and then I'm going to put these in here. There we go. So there are my vanilla bean seeds. You can see them in here, just floating around. So then, because I am single-handed, just me, sometimes you're doing these in giant batches and you need your bowl to not slide around. So I'm going to take a wet towel. I'm going to make a circle, and then I'm just going to put this here, and this becomes something that holds it in place. While I'm pouring in the hot cream, I can whisk as I go. So you'll see. So I need to heat this up to a quick boil. And what that means is I'm going to turn it up to the highest temperature, and then I'm going to watch it, and it's going to begin to fluff up, and you're going to see the bubbles go from the edge to the middle, and then I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm not just going to turn it off, I'm going to pull it from the heat, and that is called a quick boil. The purpose of a quick boil is so that you don't remove all the moisture. If you start throwing off what lives inside your cream by turning this on low and slowly coming up to a hot cream, or you put it on high and then you turn your back and you walk away and it's been cooking and evaporating, you have thrown off what you need to have happen with this beautiful process. Once this gets like that and it's boiling, quick boil, turn off the heat, pull it off the heat, I am going to pour this over the egg yolks a little bit at a time and temper them. This is going to bring the temperature a little bit down out of the pot, get everybody together, begin the process of emulsifying and making things go together. And then this is going to go back in the pot, and I'm going to use a spatula to slowly stir it. This is a point in which we need to be very careful because we don't want to overcook the custard. And in fact, you can use a bain-marie. If you do, you want to make sure that the water that's in the bottom pot is just a little bit, that it's only at a simmer, and that the pot on top is not touching in contact with the water. Because I can do this on low because I've done it a lot and because I'm well practiced. But if you're nervous, use a bain-marie. And what we are going to look for is not even nappe or anything. We are going to look for these vanilla bean seeds to appear to be suspended. So we want this to get thick enough that the vanilla bean seeds disperse and are held in. Now when we go look at the creme brulee I made yesterday, I noticed that a lot of the vanilla bean seeds fell to the bottom. So as I ate it, the bottom was covered with them a little bit. So I probably could have gone a little bit longer. And so I will use that knowledge and information to go a little bit longer today. So everything that you're doing is a little nerve-wracking. I understand. The worst thing that can happen is you cook this too hard or too fast and you get rid of too much moisture. The second thing that can happen is you can overcook the eggs, and that is going to lead to an eggy and possibly split emulsion. So we are going to try to do everything gently and really lovely, and then I'm going to strain it into this container, at which point I will then be pouring it into my pans. So I'm gonna get the pans and show you what those look like. And if you've noticed, I haven't turned anything on. And this is why I already know in my head this process very well, so I am able to parse this out. If I had added the sucrose to the egg yolks, I would be concerned that they're pre-coagulating, but they're not. If I had turned the heat on, I would be rushing. So I am not in a hurry. I don't have 20 other things to do. The end product is not my goal. My goal is right here, right now, to pay attention and to develop these intuitions by internalizing them, by going through the motions with your brain turned on. Because if you are aware, next time you go to do it, you will find that it's easier. And eventually, maybe someday, if you made creme brulee every single time you showed up at work and that was your job, you might be able to chat and sort of like relax and make it because you're good at it. But if you're new to something, the whole purpose of scaling ahead, setting up your workstation, working with focus, tuning out the rest of the world, is so that it's not just so you don't make a mistake. It's not just so that you can deliver a good dessert. It's so that you can actually use this time to develop a practice of paying attention, of noticing, of listening and hearing and smelling and being part of the process, because this is the part I enjoy. Doing it is the part I like. I like the desserts and everything and I want them to be good, but this is actually the part that I'm super into. All right, so let me show you what I have, because when we pull this out of the pitcher after I strain it, we are going to want to keep things moving. I am going to want to get it into the oven. So I have two kinds of ramekins, and this is more traditional, kind of shallow and wider. With this, you get more of the crunchy top. People like that, and then thinner. Honestly, I really like just a little bit of the crunch, but I like the creamy part. So I like it to be deeper. So I'm going to be using these little guys. Inside of a larger pan, okay, you can see where this has had water in it. When you add water to any of these pans and you put another pan on there, this is what happens. It ruins your pans. This is from 20 years ago. I did this a long time ago. We're going to be adding cream of tartar. This will help prevent that from happening. We are going to be putting the ramekins into the pan and then adding the hot water in the oven. So what you need to know before you get started is approximately how much liquid are you going to have and approximately how many are going to fit in your pan. So if you need a larger base pan, then you need to get a bigger one, but I'll show you the one I'm using. This is a pan, and I really didn't want to ruin this. This is the towel that I'm going to line this with. I know that this is going to fill 5 ramekins, so these fit. I have my cream of tartar ready, and I have a tool to get the cream of tartar, because we're not doing a pinch, we're going to take out a good amount and it's going to go in. So this is my container, so I have it all ready to go. I have my pitcher, my strainer, my spatulas, stainless steel pan, my bowl, my yolks, my sucrose, a whisk. And this is going to move relatively fast now, okay? So I have half the sucrose in here. I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to turn it on high, which I don't normally do. But I already said I want this to come up to a quick boil, so I want to go as fast as possible, and I want to make sure that the sugar particles are not sticking to the bottom. Meanwhile, I'm going to take my sucrose and I'm going to add it to the egg yolk. And notice I'm not doing that until I'm ready to go. If you've ever done this way in advance, you will start to notice little chunks in your egg yolk, and this is what it looks like. Okay, you can hear the grains of sugar. They're still there. Like this, so they're not on the countertop. I am now going to take away my labels, but I'm not going to put them in the garbage yet. I'm just going to put them to the side, and I am just going to watch this. So when you're watching it, and like I said, don't go away. you will see the bubbles start to form around the edge, and then it'll come to the middle and then it'll fluff up. Then you're done. So if you've ever done hot milk, like you're like, oh, I'm gonna make hot cocoa from scratch. You let it go long and you're off doing the dish, you come back, there's like that coating on the top. You've separated all the parts and they've sort of rejoined in a way that's not pleasant. So we need to keep our eye on it. It always helps to have a trivet for hot stuff. Up it comes. It's going, but I want those bubbles to hit the center. It fluffs up. It is done. So I'm going to take this off. So I'm going to take, and I know the vanilla beans in there, but I am going to put a little bit on here, and I don't want to cook these eggs. So just by adding a little and keeping it moving, I know, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it all in here. And then I'm going to clean the side of this so that it doesn't get, I'm going to put this back on here. And then this is going in here. Pour it back in. The heat is not on. And I'm going to take this spatula. Look at all those vanilla beans. Can you see that? All the vanilla beans in there? So we are going to put this, and I have not turned the pot back on, although it is a little bit hot. I do not feel sugar granules. Okay. Now in theory, you could strain this and it could go right in the oven, but I'm going to gently cook it. This is going to go on a lower temp, much lower, because this is sensitive to heat. Okay. And I am going to use my spatula to keep the edge. This corner is where things heat up, and the bottom, the center, and those corners. So you are going to do a figure 8. You're going to keep an eye on it, and you're going to keep this spatula basically touching the entire time the bottom of the pot. And I want very slowly, without evaporating a ton of moisture. That's why you're in control of the heat. You can take this off the heat, put it back on. You can turn your burner off. You can do whatever you need to feel comfortable. You don't have to be afraid. Just get it to the highest heat you can stand, that you can control, and then move quickly. And that's what we're going to do. And right now, this is very thin, very thin. Okay? I just want to bring it a little bit thicker. And what we are doing is coagulating the proteins that live in the egg yolk. Now, old-fashioned or more French crème brûlée is going to rely on a much higher percentage of egg yolk. And you could do half whole milk and half dairy. It's up to you. Half whole milk and half heavy cream. We are doing all heavy cream here. I think that's luxurious. So I can feel it on the bottom of the pot, and I'm going to make sure to keep that moving. And when you do this and you're really watching, and I'll turn it down just a little, you can see the steam. You can see it moving, you can see it fluffing, and you can feel it getting thicker. And there's nothing better than your own eyes and your own senses. And this is developed over time of working with this. I'm going to do the edges, make sure the corners are good. And meanwhile, the vanilla bean is being infused into the fat that lives in not only the egg yolk, but the dairy. And the sugar is raising the coagulation temperature. So if you put an egg into a pan, it's going to coagulate and get hard like that. But when you stir it in sugar, especially in something like that's dispersed in this much liquid, it takes longer for those proteins to solidify and get firm, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this firm up just a little bit before it goes in the oven. So by adding the right amount of sucrose, not too much, you are raising that temperature, so that's also a way of slowing the process. So we talk about time, temperature, and moisture all the time. And in this product, we've seen there's moisture that lives in the cream that we can see steaming off. We can see that it's thickening based on the proteins and in the egg yolk. We can smell the vanilla that is being infused into every molecule in this pan. And we are taking our time, temperature, and moisture. So we have it on a low temperature, we're going slow, and it's getting a little thicker. And I'm just going to test it every now and then. But yesterday, I did not go long enough. I think I need to go a little bit longer, so I'm going to be a little more brave. But I don't want to bang it. You don't want to go too fast. Everything about crème brûlée, about getting that ethereal creaminess, is about going slow and about maintaining the moisture. You need a really well-balanced custard. This is a stirred custard. If you were to make pastry cream, you would be using cornstarch or something, pastry cream to thicken it, pastry cream powder, which is cornstarch and other things. You would be using something to thicken it. We're just using heat. If you made it on glaze, you would be doing the same thing, but it wouldn't have exactly the same ratio that we have here. And we are going to cook this to further thicken it. So these things are all connected, and that's what I like about them. When you learn these foundational techniques, you can apply them to all these other recipes. And if you can learn to do a pastry cream, an anglaise, a custard, panna cotta is thickened with gelatin. These things matter. You start to, and what I'd like you to do is look at the ingredients and then go look in your books or Google it or whatever and find out what other recipes live in this same family, and then start to look at how and what ingredients are doing that. All right, so I think this is thick enough, and I'm just going to drag my little finger through. Let it go just a little bit more. Like I said, I want these vanilla beans to be a little more held by the thickness of this mixture before they go into the oven, because when they go in the oven, then they drop to the bottom, and then the creme brulee thickens, and then all your beans are at the bottom, which is not, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to make sure that the hot spots where your eggs are going to cook is in the bottom of this bowl. So we're doing a figure eight, a circle, and then across the bottom in a figure eight. Okay, so it's getting thicker. I'm not boiling it. This is just slowly getting thicker. And the test of this is that I have no lumps, no cooked egg, and that when I pour this into here, I'm not going to have a bunch of stuff stuck to the bottom of my pot. I'm going to pour it into here through a strainer. I like strainers. I always say, when in doubt, strain it out. I'm going to pour it through here. It's very thin. There goes my vanilla bean. Oh, and there's a little bit of egginess, just a little. This is the second time I've made creme brulee in a year, so that's why making it a third time would probably be the charm. So if you're looking at learning, I recommend you scale it 3 times and make it right in a row. So I am not going to press very hard all of these solids through here. I'm just going to actually move them out of the way so that just the liquid goes through. If you start pushing this through, you're going to get all those cooked eggy flavors, and we don't need them. So we want to very gently just let this make its way through. So here are my vanilla beans. I'm going to be rinsing these. I can put those in the pot, but this is what's left. So I'm not going to use this spatula to clean the bottom. This is good. This is the eggy part. So I'm going to put this over there, and I'm going to use a fresh spatula to get some of this off the bottom of my sieve. And then this is going into my dish. That's it. And then I'm going to take my pan, because this is ready to go, and I don't want it to take too long. I'm going to take my ramekins, which you don't do anything to them. But we want the same size ramekins to go in here. We do not want some big, some small, some deep, and some shallow. They all have to be the same. And I'm going to need super hot water, so I'm going to be running the water for a moment. I know that's going to upset some people, but that is what's going to happen. So this is a clean towel. It's going to go into this pan. This is just a bit of an insulator. And I'm going to put these in here well spaced so they're not touching. It's nice and hot. And then I'm going to take about a teaspoon. It's not something that is going to affect anything other than the, protecting my pan. I'm going to take a little bit of this and put it in the middle or off to the side when I add the hot water. And that is the cream of tartar, and that's going to help my pan not get stained. So my goal here is to take this and pour it so that I get an even amount in each one. So I will start away from me at the top. I want to keep everything as clean as possible. I did cook this a little bit long. Yesterday's was better. Now, this is going to set up faster and better, but it's a little curdled. It's a little broken, so that's not a good thing. But you'll see tonight that mine was very smooth. I didn't overcook it yesterday, and the great thing about that is, yesterday I thought, uh-oh, this isn't going to solidify, but it really does the magic of the solidification in the refrigerator and the oven. So that combination, when it comes out of the oven, it's not going to look completely set. It's going to be a nice shimmy. So you're going to have to learn how far to go in the pot, how far to go in the oven. And yesterday, you know what's funny? I'll tell you right now, I understand. I had more yesterday because I didn't cook off as much moisture. So all of this is just so you know what happened, because I'd rather have you know and show you that I'm doing this and having issues so that you can learn from it and not overcook it. Don't be scared. So I'm going to take hot water and I'm going to move you guys over by my oven so you can see me doing this. Here is our pan, no water. You are going to get water as hot as you can. You're welcome to use boiling water, but mine is purified water, so I don't want to waste the purified water. Okay, so I'm going to put this so that it's pretty flat, but I'm going to add the water in one spot. And I'm going to fill it with this hot water very slowly, about halfway up the ramekin. Now, if you fill the pan with water and then place your ramekins, they are going to float around. So it's important that you do it in the order that I just demonstrated. Okay, so I'm going to push this in. It's at 325. I have my oven thermometer and I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. After that, we are going to check it at 5-minute intervals, even if we don't feel like we need to, because that way we can start to build an internal idea of how long it takes. Yesterday, it took me, well, you're not supposed to do it for longer than 40 minutes after the initial 20, but I would say it took me 35 minutes, so it can take quite a while. However, I've already cooked this longer, so it's not going to take as long. So these things all add up. Let me 20 minutes, and then we're going to have 20 minutes to do something else, which is great. We'll do a bunch of stuff. This is my vanilla bean, and I don't want to squeeze it or get rid of all that lovely, the vanilla bean seeds that are still there. I'm just going to gently rinse it off. I'm not going to scrub it. And then I am going to put these onto this paper towel. And these are the ones from yesterday. And you can see they're all dry. And this is the one I just did. It's all floppy and wet. So this will look like this one tomorrow, okay? Still has a lot of flavor. There are ways you can reuse those. Sometimes you can reuse those vanilla beans up to 3 times. They're going to be taking what I made yesterday. It's been in the cooler overnight. They're wrapped tightly, and then I'm going to torch them and plate them and eat them. And so if you're having people over, this is a really nice way to make a beautiful dessert ahead of time. And you can even make your whipped cream the day before. Just don't over whip your whipped cream. It should be very soft and very lovely. Would you say to err on the side of thinner rather than thicker when cooking the custard? Yes, and there are a lot of people who would tell you don't even need to cook it like I did. So I want you to think about if you don't cook it and you put it in the oven and you're cooking it low and slow and it gets thick enough and it works out, then you don't need to cook it. I didn't like that the vanilla beans sank to the bottom. So next time I would cook it less than I did today, but more than I did yesterday. And that's why I like practicing. So you actually get to choose. There are plenty of recipes, and that's why I don't give you a recipe, like a method, because I want you to be thinking that you are slowly coagulating those egg proteins. You're slowly creating structure. And so you can either do it just by really hot milk and then getting it into your ramekins and into the oven like really fast. You could cook it just a little bit till it's, just a little bit thicker and get it into the oven like I did yesterday, or you can cook it a little bit longer, but you risk breaking the emulsion and eggy flavor and things like that. So if you notice it's eggy, if you notice it's curdled, it's because you overcooked it. So these are things you know. So we have 32 seconds. We'll go look at what's going on in the oven, and I will show you what I am looking for. Get my tools. I need a hot mitt and I need my handy dandy chompers. I know it's not ready, but I'm going to jiggle it just a tiny bit so you can see. So here we go. You're not going to be super up close, but you will see how wiggly it is. It's very wiggly, okay? We don't want to get water in there. You want to move very quickly. And then I'm going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the timer. All right, I'm going to show you what I have. I have 4 creme brulees to finish. It's so exciting. I have fresh berries. So fresh berries are very expensive. And my trick is when you buy them this way, the minute you get home, you flip it over. And then the next day you flip it back, and the next day you flip it back. That creates air, and they'll last twice as long. And when I used to do wedding cakes, it was a big problem. So here are my creme brulees from yesterday, okay? You shouldn't see condensation. Do you see how there's no condensation, but this one's got a little one in there? Okay, so these need to be cool when you put the plastic wrap on them because you don't want condensation. And in fact, I'm going to do one at a time, and these are going to go back in the cooler, and then we are going to put sugar on that, and we're going to take a look at it. I cannot wait to drink. I'm so thirsty. Here's what we're going to do. We need a piece of metal. We are not going to torch directly onto Formica. You could do it on a stainless steel table, but we are going to do it on this tray. And I have some pretty napkins to put onto the finished plate. Let's go check out our creme brulee in the oven. And all you have to do is take your tongs, and you're looking for a shimmy. You don't want it done all the way. It's going to solidify in the refrigerator overnight. You kind of have to learn how long things are going to take. And I obviously made a mistake. This is still going to be good. All right, this is too liquid. I'm gonna do 5 more minutes. And then once you dial them in, you'll be able to put them in for 20 minutes and come back in 20 minutes. You won't have to do what I'm doing. Okay, so the fun thing about finishing our creme brulee is we get to choose the topping. So I'm going to take the plastic wrap off. And plastic wrap is not meant to be placed on top of things and then just kind of draped around. It's meant that you take one side and you pull it across and you pull it and place it until it is tight and it clings. That is how it's designed to work. So when we go put this in there, this needs to be firm. We don't want it touching the top of our creme brulee. This is what it looks like. There's no curdling. It's beautiful. Okay, we are going to start with the easiest to torch, which is superfine sugar. Now you can use lavender sugar. You can use infused sugar with vanilla bean. You can use raw demerara sugar, regular table sugar, and many other types of sugars. But what you're looking for is the texture. So a raw sugar is clearly going to be thicker, a little more rustic, and when you torch it, you're going to get hotter spots and a little unevenness and that sort of thing. So if you want something really glassy and perfect, your superfine sugar is the way to go. Let me get a spoon. When you torch, before you even turn it on, you want to do a thin, even layer, tap the sugar around, tap it out, and then when you get this going, you need the flame to be concentrated. You don't want it wide. And when you aim it at your creme brulee, you're going to start in the middle, and you're not going to move it around like this. You're not going to do this. You're going to stay in one place at the right distance, and when it's brown, you're going to move a little bit. When it's brown, you're going to move a little bit, and you're going to start from the top on the edges. So you're going to work your way around the outside first and finish on the inside. And then we're going to do a second dose of sugar, which is how I like to do it. So for this, I'm going to sprinkle this on. And because sugar is hygroscopic, you do not want to leave it on for a long time. It will melt. So we are going to go ahead and sprinkle that. It's already, we'll be generous because I don't want to mess around here. So I'm going to tap this out of here. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to wipe off the top. You should use a clean, dedicated towel to clean off the top rim. And then we are going to go ahead and torch it. So I'm going to turn this on. Try to do a good job. Let's see. So I'm going to go around the edge. Made a little mess of the edge. The sugar on the ramekin. And then right when it gets where I need it to be, I'm going to turn it off. And then I'm going to do the second sugar. All right, let's see. I want to get more to the edges, so I'm going to do this. Okay, there we go. You do need to work quickly, and I am working a little sloppily. Yeah, I can probably dial in my flame a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to go to the outside and make my way around. I want it to be as even as possible. You want it to be crunchy and dark, not be afraid. Let me get tongs. So you're either going to want to use a doily or a napkin, because when you put your dessert onto the tray, you don't want it sliding around. So we're going to do this. Put this in the center. There we go. So that is our number one. And I'm just gonna leave this over here. We're gonna go check the oven, and then we'll do the next one with a different sugar. As serious and as much as I like a good outcome, none of this needs to be perfect. It's going to taste amazing, it's going to look beautiful, and you need to take the pressure off, take a deep breath, go slow, and don't worry about the outcome. Be in the process. Okay. Still pretty liquidy. 5 more minutes. Go do the next creme brulee, which I will grab out of the refrigerator. The next thing we can do is the turbinado sugar, which is raw sugar, but there's also what Sister Pie in Detroit called sugar. This is half raw, half sucrose, which is what I think we should use, sugar. It's a nice combination of table sugar and raw sugar, so they're just a little finer, but you get the flavor from the raw. So we will do that next. Let me get the next ramekin out. You will notice all of these are exactly the same size, so you know, maybe I should have gone more with what I did yesterday, but you will see the effect. So here it is, it's nice and firm. I'm going to take that plastic off of there. There is our beautiful creme brulee, nice and firm. And when I put it in the fridge last night, it was shimmying, so it really does come together nicely. So here is my sugar. I'm going to take a spoon, which is actually how I like doing it. I don't really like pouring it in that way. I'm going to stir up the sugar, which is half sucrose, table sugar, and half raw. And I am going to sprinkle it to the edges. I really don't feel like I got enough on the edges. And I'm going to clean it off with my dedicated towel. Make sure it's all clean. It's pretty clean. I kept it pretty clean. And then I'm going to tap, not back into my original container because there could be cross-contamination, but I'm going to go in this sugar, okay? And I'm going to take my towel and I'm going to wipe it off again. Okay. Make sure my tray isn't getting too much sugar on there. This way. Okay, so then we'll do it again. Let me go get my tongs. I don't want to burn myself. I want to play with this a little bit. Get it a little more concentrated. Start at the edge, get it brown, and keep the flame moving. Okay, off. It's sizzling. There we go. Nice and brown. You can smell it. That's the brulee, burnt sugar. I'm going to do a second layer. All the way to the edge. And the name of the game is that you don't want it to sit out a long time. You don't want the sugar to then pick up all the humidity in the air and turn soft again. You want it to be crunchy. Second layer, and then I'm going to torch it. Staying in one spot until it's the color I want, and then moving along. Finishing nice and brown. Little smoke. There we go. Let's see. Ooh, it smells good. So that will firm up. And remember, where I live right now is very humid. There are a ton of really cute origami ways that you can prepare your napkins. I just can't remember any right now. So just go with simplicity or with, you know, a little bit of whimsy. You can do this. Or you don't need to use one at all. Okay? Looks beautiful. Put that right there. And then I'll get the next one. So really nice accoutrement for the creme brulee could be fresh fruit. It could be fruit you minced up, like a salsa. You could do a papaya, really soft things in little tiny dices you would sprinkle on top. You can do functional herbs, micro herbs, things that would go with it. So if you have a lemon creme brulee, a little lemon balm leaf, chocolate decor, a biscotti on the side, a mini cookie, things that go with it. So this is the next one, right out of the fridge. All right, let's go check on it's been 5 minutes already, can you believe it? And then I get to eat creme brulee and then talk. That's my favorite thing to do, is eat and talk. My two favorite things. So let's see what we've got going here. It's still very liquidy. We need a shimmy, not liquid. 5 more minutes. Remember, I don't care how long it really takes because it's on a low temp. It's at 325. Now I'm gonna do the raw sugar, and you're gonna see that it's a little bit different. We get a little bit different result. So we'll get rid of the sugar, and then we have Demerara or raw sugar. I always thought turbinado sounded fancy, but it means that it's spun in a turbine. And so it's much thicker, it's much rougher, and the grain is much bigger. So of course, we're going to get a different result. I'm gonna shake it around and then get it off and wipe the edge. Shiny, beautiful. The reason I don't want the sugar on my tray is because it'll scorch and it'll stick and it'll be dirtier. Okay, here we go. On the outside, working toward the inside. And it gets brown faster because there are more impurities in raw sugar. There's more molasses. There are these impurities which give it flavor. So you can see the larger specks are the result of the larger actual sugar particles. So I'm going to do one more layer. And you can go as thick as you want on these layers. Very thick, actually. So that'll be the end of that. Next one we have is just plain sugar, which is kind of cool. We'll pull that up here. Tap, tap. Wipe, wipe. I'm gonna make this flame just a little smaller. Let's see what happens. Maybe get a little more control. You can take it off anytime you get scared or it's doing too much. I like a good dark burn, but totally up to you. The smell is amazing. There you go. Look at that. Beautiful, shiny, and it's going to firm up to a point, and then it will start to get wet from the humidity. So now we're going to do another plate. I don't want to catch any of these on fire. Maybe I'll do the last one without a napkin at all. If you want to do some fun traditional folds on your napkins, you can YouTube it because there are a lot of really cute ways to do this. Yeah, and you can also just like poof it up like this and make it a little more rustic. I think that looks cute. And then we get to eat all these. It's so exciting. All right, this is the last one. We're going to do it. This is just my sucrose, my table sugar. And a little bigger particles in the Superfine, which is good. Let me get the very last creme brulee out of the fridge. Boom, that's it. This is the last one. So when you wrap them individually like this, if you have a business, you can serve one at a time. And people love watching the creme brulee be burnt. You could do it at the table. You can do whatever you want. All right, I need a spoon, okay? Here is the table sugar. The bowl, sprinkle it around and tap, tap. So this is just a lot more fine than the rough. Clean it up. Much thinner, more controlled, very lovely. So it's my last shot at doing this tonight. Okay, hold it. Get it where, oh, there we go. A little closer. It's amazing how different all of the things work. We're going to go check that, and I'll do the second layer. I'll be able to sit down and taste a little bit of it. When I'm done checking these, we are going to turn off the oven and leave the door open and let them cool down in place. Let's take a look. I think they're going to need 5 to 10 more minutes is my guess. And we'll see. One more layer to do, and then we're ready to like sample and take a look at what they look like, which is fun. So I'm going to take table sugar, sucrose, spread it around, tap it out. You can see how it's sitting on top. sugar, final torch. We don't want it black, we want it golden. Okay, sizzling, it's gonna be good. That one looks like, and I'll show you from the front. All right, let me get rid of some pans, have some berries, and I'm going to get something to drink because I'm dying. Okay, I think we're good. I think I have a lot of things off to the side. Berries. And I will take, I don't personally love when they put the berries right onto the creme brulee, so you can and you may. I would take them upside down and place them around like so. They look really pretty. I could do it just on the outside. I could take some chantilly cream, just a tiny little amount. There we go. We're gonna eat it and see what it looks like up close and personal, and we can chat, which is great. What else do I need? Anything? Oh, and I need a spoon, maybe a couple spoons. I think Dave is gonna have to come get some. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna get my drink. Let me get something to drink. I'm dying. Had a matcha vanilla kombucha earlier, but I'm going to add a poppy to it. I'm gonna have to get some of this out of here. Okay, are you guys thirsty? Everyone hydrated? Yeah, so you may use the, what's it called? The broiler in your oven to torch these. You can also buy these irons that you can heat up and sizzle it like that. So there's like a lot of things you can do. The torches from the hardware store are cheap. If you buy them at Williams-Sonoma, they're going to be very expensive. The kind I buy, super cheap, so cheap. I apologize. I was going to do a caramel, but it's too humid. If you do caramel in this weather, it's crunchy for 2 seconds and then it absorbs the humidity and it gets sticky. It can turn back into liquid. If you take caramel into a pan, you dry caramelize it, pour it out onto a silpat, let it get hard, and then grind it in a food processor or a little mini prep or something like that. And then you can use that to put onto your creme brulee so that it's already got those caramel notes and the caramel flavor. So it's a great idea. What needs to happen, this is not the end of the process. This is the second stage. You have the first stage, which is tempering your egg yolks, bringing all the things together and maybe getting them cooking a slight bit. And then they go in the oven, and low and slow they coagulate more, but then they have to go in the refrigerator. Creme brulee is supposed to be cold with the hot top. That's supposed to be kind of what's happening. And I think these might be ready to let sit. This is still too liquid. I'm gonna do 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. So let's taste some of this. So let's take a look at one of these. Let's do the superfine sugar first. I'm not telling you to do a specific recipe or to do a specific technique. Avoid hacks and tricks like the plague. But if you understand what's going on, you can decide using your brain, not just something you heard. That's fun, and you can foundationally understand why you're making decisions. It's kind of what I do. So here it is. Can you hear that? There's the crack. Let's see. It's hard to do. Okay, there's the sugar piece. There are the sugar shards. Okay, and this has been sitting out a while. It really needs to go from the fridge to torching to the table. Okay. I'm gonna show you the vanilla beans on the bottom. Yeah, it's warm. It should be cold. Can you see the vanilla beans there? That I don't love, and that's what I was trying to avoid, but yes. It should be crunchy. That was the Superfine. This is the sugar. Ooh, much thicker. This is half raw, half sucrose. Beautiful. Beauty. See how it holds up on the spoon? It's not too thick. It's still jiggly and can run like that. It should be very well balanced. This is the raw sugar. This should be the crunchiest. There we go. Beauty. Look at that. I like the flavor best of the raw. And if you like the chew of the sugar, this is the best. However, it's not elegant and delicate like the Superfine. This is just, it's already melting. It's already, the humidity's already, it's still crunchy, but it's getting to it. So I'm gonna take the raspberries off, and they're holding up pretty well to the sugar. That's a good crunch. There are the shards. And again, this really should be cold, and it gets warm fast. Fridge, torch, plate, eat. You can skip the sugar topping if you just want the underneath. Absolutely. I'm gonna save some for Dave. The raw will have more flavor from the molasses. You'll smell it more. Yeah, creme brulee is burnt sugar, basically. It's cream with burnt cream. You can use the custard for other things if you like, but it is a signature, right? If you just want custard, sure. There are no rules. Just know why you're doing it. Make an informed decision. That's all I say. The towel under you don't understand. It's just to insulate between the hot pan and your ramekin. I think it takes better care of your pans as well. I don't need the pan sitting on the bottom because it will leave that circular mark even with the cream of tartar in it. I don't want to damage my pans. It's a gentle spot for them to sit. Metal transfers heat much faster and we're going low and slow. So when you add the towel, you have insulation that slows the heat transfer a tiny bit. It all adds up. All right, so let's look here. I'm gonna give them 5 minutes and then I think they're gonna be done, which is about what I did yesterday, and I think they turned out good. Yes, there is a towel in the water bath. I put it on the bottom before I added the empty ramekins, which I then fill with the creme brulee mixture, and then I put it in the oven, and then I pour the hot water in there. So you're being very careful. You can use boiling water in the water bath, and I do recommend that, but it is very dangerous. You have to be careful. I've worked in kitchens where the oven's above your head, and it's very scary. I'm not from the States. What do you mean raw sugar? Raw sugar is, you know how when they make sugar, they're basically taking, well, the liquid, and then they spin the liquid out, and then they're left with these sugar grains, crystals, and this still has molasses on it. So that's a raw sugar. If they keep processing it, you can see the difference. They keep spinning it till the molasses is all gone, then you get white table sugar, just sucrose. Raw sugar, Demerara turbinado, has molasses and other minerals and things in it that gives it a molasses flavor. And they're very large grains of sugar. Thing is, won't the towel touching the pan get a bit damaged? No, it won't. You'll see. Nah, perfect. It's in water. It's fine. It's so low temp and it's dispersed in water. It's covered in water. It won't, I promise. You're not gonna catch fire or do anything like that. You could grind the raw sugar smaller, and then you would get a finer finish. Oh, you are studying, Stephanie. You are studying pastry every Wednesday at 6 p.m. You actually are. People come into my comments all the time. They're like, how can I learn from you? How can I? And I'm like, you are right now. Like, that's all I do. I teach. I like creme brulee because you really can make it any size you want. I love the porcelain containers. So let's go look at these. And then I think I'm going to turn off the oven. So I'm going to turn this off. And yeah, these look good. I'll lift one up. See how it's shimmying? So these are going to sit in this hot water, cooling. That's the towel with the water. You can see the towel's still white. It hasn't changed one bit. So these are just going to stay like this. Just going to leave the oven open, let it cool down until the water is in control, and I can take them out. So they have to completely cool, and then I'm going to wrap them very tightly with plastic wrap like you saw earlier, and then they go in the refrigerator, and they can stay in there 1 to 3 days, and when I'm ready to eat them, I'm going to bring them out, sugar, torch, serve. And you can do 1 layer of sugar if you want. You don't have to do 2. You don't have to do it thicker. Just make sure that you get it really even. So I've got the creme brulees back there cooling, and when it's all cool, because I don't want to wrap the plastic on it with, I don't want condensation, so I'm going to let it cool all the way. and then I'm gonna cover them and put them in the refrigerator. And then tomorrow when we're ready to eat them, I'll sprinkle sugar on them. We'll have them for breakfast. I'm gonna see you guys all on Saturday, I hope, for the PoP office hours. Ugh, I should have left it. The PoP Saturday office hours, I will be back and we can just talk. You guys can come back with questions. If you do any of the recipes, have any issues, you can come back and we can commiserate, talk about the industry, recipes, anything you want to. It's your time. Office hours I used to do in person, now I do them on TikTok. Before we go, since the brulee is liquid the entire time, at what point do we know to stop baking? You don't, you have to practice. If you go too far, it's going to be just a little firmly set. If you don't go enough, it's going to be too light. So I made it yesterday. I did a couple things different. This is why I recommend making smaller batches, but like scale them out 3 times in a row and then make them literally 3 times in a row or 3 days in a row, because you will learn and you will dial in very quickly. If I make this again tomorrow, I will get the mix properly on the stove. I will get it in the oven. It shouldn't be liquid and it shouldn't be set at all. It should shimmy. It should just jiggle, but it's going to firm up quite a bit in the refrigerator. You just have to trust that. You're welcome. Thank you for your time. How much do I appreciate you guys coming here on Wednesday. No, you do not want the plastic to touch the creme brulee. You have to wrap the plastic once the creme brulee is all the way cool tightly around each individual ramekin so it is not touching. You don't want it to touch the creme brulee. The great thing about this is you can grab the recipe, you can get the notes from my Substack, and then you can go to YouTube and watch it, and you can do this anytime it's convenient for you. You can scale out the ingredients though tomorrow. And then on Saturday when you have time or something, you can work on it. Shimmy, you gotta shimmy, shimmy. So next Wednesday, I'll be back to do the caramelized chocolate ganache. It is such an amazing recipe. It can be made into a truffle center. It can be cast over brownies, and maybe I'll show you all the different ways that I've used it in the past. It's incredibly fabulous. I can't recommend it enough. Thank you, everybody. What else you guys want to talk about before I say goodbye? I'm so thirsty. Well, the creme brulee is in the oven right now. It's cooling. It looks good. We took all the ones from yesterday and topped them. So this creme brulee needs to cool. It needs to be covered and refrigerated. And then tomorrow I'll serve it to Dave and I. All right, everybody. So if you come back Saturday for my office hours, we can talk more about baking. And if any of you do the creme brulee or have follow-up questions, I'm more than happy. So thanks for joining me, PoPers. I will see you on Saturday. And next week you come back, we'll make a caramelized ganache. And I'm telling you, it could be your favorite thing that you ever make. Much less going into the holidays for gifts, layering between a cake for making truffles. I mean, it is my go-to every single year. I love it. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you next Wednesday, I hope, for the PoP Baking Club. Happy baking. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you Saturday if you just want to chat. Noon Eastern Standard Time. You just come and we talk. Nothing mage. Just fun. Just bakers hanging out. All righty, everyone. Bye. See you next week. But take care. Bye. Thanks for the hearts. Bye, everybody. Thank you for everything. I had a wonderful time. We'll see you on Saturday, I hope.